Hello again, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about pinch pots. To me, the pinch pot is one of the most underappreciated methods of forming with clay because you can do like anything with it. So let me show you some examples to start with. First, I'm going to show you this lovely piece. My mom made this when she was in high school. So it is a vessel, it's got an opening and it's got a few small spouts and then it's got a lot of cutout pieces in it. So you can see the pinch pot is this round form in the middle, and then she did a lot of creative things on the sides of it. So that's one thing you can do. This teapot could also be made out of a pinch pot. So even though it's got a shape that's kind of a little more angular, once you take two pinch pots and put them together, you can paddle them to create shapes. And then there's some really nice smaller details added to make it into a teapot and some really nice texture on the surface. All right, the next one I'm gonna show you is a piece of a larger sculpture. Don't be scared, it's a head. This is a piece of one of my pieces of work. And so the head actually sits in this larger sculpture. But this was made out of two pinch pots that were put together. So two of them, it's actually hollow inside. Once the two were put together, then I could do things like pressing and adding onto the details. All right, and then the last one, which is also made from pinch pots, is this vase right here. So this is made out of 4 pinch pots actually. This center area right here was made out of 2 pinch pots that were put together. If I flip it upside down, you'll see that this is a pinch pot that is upside down attached, so it's a little base, it's open down here. And then this top one is a large cone-like pinch pot with a couple coils to really extend it. So you can see there's a ton of different stuff that you can do with pinch pots. All right, so starting off, I wedged this piece of clay before, and I just cut it in half. It's a nice way to make sure the pieces are pretty similar in size. Okay, so starting with a ball of clay. So if it's not really a ball, you can pat it like I'm doing here. The first step with a pinch pot is take your thumb, stick it inside the center. So we're not trying to go all the way through. Our goal is to leave about a 1/2 inch of space around it. Okay, so I feel like my finger and my thumb are about a 1/2 inch apart. So I'm gonna leave that, and now I'm gonna start pinching around the base. So if you notice, I'm using my thumb as a rotation device, and then my other fingers on that hand will just start pinching. So my pinch pot is upside down right now on my thumb. So I'm gonna pinch a little bit. If you notice, I'm doing this pretty quickly. As I go, once I get around all the way, then I can start moving further down the pinch pot. And then when I get close to the top edge, typically I want to leave that a little bit thicker, especially if I'm going to attach 2 together. I do not want a paper thin edge that will not really be good to support the weight of the rest of it. So I'm pinching. Okay, sometimes it's good to check. So right now I'm not really pinching much more, just kind of feeling to make sure I don't have any really thick parts. All right, there's my first pinch pot. Isn't it gorgeous? It's pretty simple, but this you can do a lot with. So don't judge yourself. Don't think you have to make it perfect. It's better to leave the clay wet and move on. So I'm gonna make my other one quickly. Same thing, pinch in the middle. I'm rotating it on my thumb. It's really important you don't go too thin, so that's why you have to be really present and really focus as you're doing this. Okay, some common mistakes people make with these. Instead of doing it on their thumb, they will set it on the table and start pinching like this. That'll end up making the bottom flat, and it'll start to open it up a little too wide. So try and remember, it's on your thumb, it rotates that way. Now I've got my 2 pinch pots. What do you notice? You're right, one is bigger than the other. Sometimes this happens, so you can stretch the one that's a little smaller out so they fit a little better, or I can just kind of press in a little bit with the one that's a little wider. My goal is for them to kind of fit together, which they do. So now I will use the technique I learned before. I'm gonna use a fork because it goes 4 times as fast. I'm gonna scratch up those edges. Same thing on this one. And then I can start to attach together with my slip. So the scoring, then the slip. Now, why am I doing this? Remember, you can make sculptures, you can make functional vessels, you can make things that are more decorative, all from this basic form. It's basically making something nice and round that you can then change in lots and lots of different ways. All right, so I'm pushing them together with all my might. Okay, you might see a lot of slip oozing out. I sure do. Once I feel like there's a little bit of a connection, I'm just gonna wipe my finger along to get rid of that extra slip, wipe it off, and then I can take my handy Band-Aid coil and I would go all the way around this form. I would really smooth it in. Notice I'm not pushing straight down. I'm just kind of smearing with my finger from one side to the other. If I push straight down, I'm gonna go through it in the middle. You can also use the pressure of your table a little bit to compact the seam, but you have to be careful because you don't wanna blow it open. So that Band-Aid coil is a really, really important part of this process. All right, from here, once I get it all smoothed, I can do things like starting to shape it. So simply patting it with my hand, you might notice it's changing the shape and flattening it. I also really like to do that on the table. So this way I can start almost making it into a cube. I didn't finish my Band-Aid coil all the way around. And the more I do it, the more the shape can start to change. So it does take form, it takes a little bit of work, but those are the basics, starting with a pinch pot, putting two together. You can do a lot with it. Have a great day, guys.